Hi, this is Olawale Oluwade. I want to speak on what I've titled Yoruba Nation, Who Bewitched Us. Yoruba Nation, Who Bewitched Us. My father was Egba from Abeokuta, Ogun State, while my mother was Ijesha, Osun State. So I am 100% bona fide Yoruba man. And my mission here is to speak plainly and poke, at the consciences of all Yoruba sons and daughters, wherever you may be in the world. Perhaps I might be able to rekindle a flicker, of truth and self-introspection, in our hearts. In scriptures, every so often, God speaking through his prophets questioned and challenged the nation of Israel. For instance, he said, and I quote, "For my people have committed two evils. They have forsaken me, the fountain of living waters, and hewn themselves cisterns, broken cisterns that can hold no water." End of quote. You can find this in Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 13. You may also like to check out Jeremiah chapter 19, verses 4 to 6. So, let me ask on behalf of our great ancestor, in what way did Chief Obafemi Awolowo offend us, that we forsook the glorious paths he trod, but have longed for and pursued after strange men, ravenous wolves, and destroyers? Where did we miss it exactly? How did we become the people who now hero worship a gangster dressed up in sacred robes? What happened to us, Yoruba people? How is it we feel no sense of shame or utter revulsion associating with and celebrating a man of easy virtue, dubious pedigree, low morals, and zero compassion? I've been around a while now, and I know us Yoruba people to be generally highly educated, enlightened, cultured, and law-abiding. We have a great affection for books, culture, and tradition. We equally love to party, perhaps more than most. Yet, in all our boisterousness, we're essentially a civilized and cultured lot and embrace the rest of the world, with great fascination and admiration. Indeed, our peculiar dominant ethnic traits or qualities were, and I use the word were, deliberately. Number one, an insatiable thirst for education, scrupulous fidelity to high moral values, of a good name, of learning, industry, and aversion for crimes and criminal tendencies. In essence, this that I described, in essence, summarizes our Omoluabi ethos. In my early years running around the streets of Ibadan and later on Lagos, I was most fortunate to encounter both personally and through secondary association the greatness, of some Yorubas who epitomized and approximated this specific and general core values, identity, and traditions. Thus, I learned to idolize Chief Obafemi Awolowo as perhaps a god of sorts, and rightfully so. Before Obafemi Awolowo, there were Bishop Samuel Ajayi Crowther, Shapara Williams, the first the first Nigerian lawyer, and the one to argue a case, before British courts, and the legendary Sir Herbert Macaulay. Then later on emerged, on the scene like meteors, Professors Wole Soyinka, Professor Teslim Elias, the Kuti brothers, Olikoye, Fela, and Beko, and then great lawyers emerged like Gani Fawehinmi, Alao Akabashorun, F.R.A. Williams, Kehinde Shofola, J.O.K. Ajayi, Richard Akinjide, Babatunde Akin Olugbade, and then of course Dr. Ajibola, Prince Bola Ajibola, etc., etc. In political leadership, there were giants and true offsprings of Chief Awolowo, such as Michael Adekunle Ajashin, Chief Bola Ige, Alhaji Lateef Jakonde, and BC Onabanjo, etc., etc. In the corporate world, we had Chief MKO Abiola, Chief Ernest Shoneko, Chief Adiola Odutola, Otumba Shibomi Balogun, Chief Alhaji Razak Okoya, and the list is endless. In academia and the professions, there were Professors Ojetunji Aboyade, Professor Akima Bogunje, Professor Ayodele Awojobi, Professor Olikoye Kuti, Professor Adeoye Lambo, Professor Adeton Ogunsheye, Professor Mr. Kintola Williams, Alhaji Babatunde Joseph. The list is endless. Now, I return to Awolowo. In Africa, at least, Chief Obafemi Awolowo remains, in my personal opinion, the gold standard for transformational leadership, both in politics and governance. And he didn't attain this just by luck or sickening self-proclamation. The Latin phrase that says res issa loquitur, or in English, the thing speaks for itself, best approximates the essence of Obafemi Awolowo. In Yoruba, a variant of this quote says, you can't see an elephant and claim, I think I saw something. These epithets that best captures Awolowo's core essence and substance were earned. They were not given to him. They were earned. First of all, Awolowo's single legacy, greatest legacy, was and remains empowering and inculcating in multiple generations of Yorubas an absolute confidence in the power of qualitative education as the greatest emancipator of any people from the evil triad of ignorance, poverty, and servitude. Second, Awolowo searched for and surrounded himself with great minds such as F.R.A. Williams, Bode Thomas, S.L.A., Samuel Adoke Akintola, Michael Adekunle Ajashin, etc., etc. Awolowo was a consummate team builder and leader. He didn't build teams of riffraffs, rascals, or touts, but excellent teams that delivered superlative and outstanding results, impacting multiple generations until now. Third reason, and even more critical, Obafemi Awolowo authored personally or in conjunction with others, or had books written for him, 30 of them, highly seminal books of great socio-economic, constitutional, and academic benefits and significance. Some of this includes, number 1, Path to Nigerian Freedom. Number 2, Path to Nigerian Greatness. Number 3, The Strategy and Tactics of the People's Republic of Nigeria. Number 4, Federalism, Thoughts on Nigerian Constitution. These two books, The Strategy and Tactics of the People's Republic of Nigeria, and then Federalism, Thoughts on Nigerian Constitution. The authors of this 1979 Constitution drew largely from these books. And this 1979 Constitution forms, a majority part of the 1999 Constitution that we now use in Nigeria. Some other books includes, Awo, his autobiography, and then also Adventures in Power, and then you have Voice of Reason, you also have Voice of Courage, and then Voice of Wisdom, etc., etc. Now, Obafemi Awolowo, as first premier of Western Nigeria, governed with vision, intellect, and compassion. Besides physical legacies still standing today as testament of visionary leadership, he also emancipated his people and positioned us at the zenith of learning, industry, progress, and prosperity until now. And he achieved this in just 5 short years. When we speak about Obafemi Awolowo, young people will think he governed for 20 or 30 years. The man presided over the Western Nigeria from 1954 to 1959 for just 5 short years. I cannot recall reading anywhere in any history books where Awolowo retained the services of motor park urchins, touts, and hoodlums. I have never read anywhere where Awolowo abused his position as premier or as finance minister / vice chairman of the military junta of Yakubu Gowon. I was born at the illustrious University College Hospital, Ibadan, and I spent parts of my early years there before moving on to Lagos. In all these years, we ran the roost in both Ibadan and Lagos as young boys and young men. I never saw a solitary mansion or mansions, estate or estates, hotel or hotels, mega shopping plazas, blue chip businesses belonging personally to Obafemi Awolowo or his family. I never saw one till as I speak here. If there are any that you know, you can show it to me with evidence. In stark contrast to this, your new age idol loathes intellectuals and men of substance. He is quite at home with the likes of MC Oluomo and Fuji artists and others of that ilk. Examine his cabinet members as president now, and it is a roll call of the lowest denominator of the worst among us. Furthermore, how many books has this new idol of Yorubas written where he espoused his ideas, values, and beliefs on economics, politics, nation building, the constitution, democracy, or governance? What values has he contributed to the advancement of the Yoruba people or Nigeria besides searing corruption, political violence and brigandage, electoral manipulation, democratic desecration, and the trampling of the laws, institutions, and conventions of government? These are his greatest legacies, in addition to ignoble criminal lexicon, such as power is not served a la carte. You have to snatch it, seize it, and run away with it. Now, whereas President Goodluck Jonathan was allegedly weak and incompetent, but his beatified legacy is anchored on his famous refrain, "My ambition is not worth the blood of any Nigerian," end of quote. By this simple utterance of Goodluck Jonathan, and also for voluntarily relinquishing power, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan earned his seat in the pantheon of decent and honorable leaders of the world. Can same be said of Yoruba's new idol, who before the glare of the world is destroying every sacred institution that underpins a society that is governed by laws and justice. A man with such debauched vainglory, who requires a symphony of sycophants to titillate his oversized ego and self-worth with a useless chorus of mendacious inanity. What else, besides the branded cap and arrant buffoonery in government, what else do we have that we can recommend to future generations? For 3 years now, no dent recorded, not even a pretense to solving the following existential crisis bedeviling this country: out of school children, maternal and infant mortalities, chronic hunger and misery, electricity failure, rampant poverty, unemployment, and insecurity. Nothing has been done on any of this beyond showboating. Let me be upfront with every Yorubas, wherever you are on this earth. If you are among those cheerleading this error and stain on our collective reputation and history, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. I know some of you have lost the capacity for shame, so I am ashamed on your behalf, especially that I share kinship with you loathsome lot. You have been sucked in to believe the egregious heresies that raw power, illicit money, lawlessness, brigandage, cruelty, and barbarism, is tantamount to being a master strategist. How sad. And so I ask again, who bewitched you? Who bewitched us? Yorubas, who bewitched you? Well, history is a great tutor, gentle and kind to the wise, but harsh and brutal, especially to the foolish. History shines its light on pitfalls and quicksands, which the wise avoids, but the foolish in their folly are consumed. History is replete with stories of the rise and falls of nations, oftentimes instigated by crooked and power-drunken idiots. Germany was a great nation of even greater people with a mightily rich history, but the Germans fell in love with a lunatic and megalomaniac who seduced a great and proud people into bigotry, racism, sectarianism, lawlessness, mindless barbarism, corruption, global warfare, and record-setting genocide. The same Germans who gave the world George Friedrich Handel, Ludwig van Beethoven, Johann Sebastian Bach, Johannes Brahms, Richard Wagner, etc., etc. Great musical composers, classical musical composers. Yet, this same Germany, although has recovered from the physical and economic devastation of the Second World War, but can the stain of millions cremated alive in Auschwitz, Srebrenica, etc., can this stain ever be erased? The answer is a big no. So, as I wrap up, I return to the verse of scripture which says, "Do not remove the ancient landmarks which your fathers have set." End of quote. Proverbs 22:28. Olusegun Obasanjo was a decorated war general and former military dictator. Yet, as civilian president, his vice, Atiku Abubakar, took him to court 11 times, and Obasanjo lost the 11 times. Yet, he never stripped the judiciary of their venerated cloak of independence or impartiality. Yorubas, can we think and return to the paths of our great ancestors set for us? Can we just think? Can we have some moments of self-introspection? This present-day band of political mercenaries are merely vagabonds in power. Apologies to Fela Anikulapo Kuti. These people lack basic noble human values of discipline, integrity, honor, sobriety, compassion, empathy, respect for rules and regulations, and time-honored traditions and conventions. They are not Omoluabis, and damn it, they do not represent who we are. They do not. This set of, buccaneers, these bandits in power do not represent who we are. They don't. I hope and pray we can retrace our steps urgently, and when this season of anomie is over, we can purge ourselves of the poison in our system. Thank you for listening, and bye for now.